Good morning, good evening. Since I work overnights now, I'm starting to shift over to the night schedule, so I'm nocturnal. I'm a bat. I come alive at night. How's everyone know? What's surfacing for everyone in their experience right now? Things are starting to settle in with my new position at work, so I'm starting to get the feel again for being on my feet that much and moving so much. Hey Jared, how are you? What's going on with everybody? What's happening? Oh wow. Good luck to you, Jared, and thank you for being willing to serve. I actually almost got into the Marines myself when I was younger, but fortunately, um, I had got no record, so wasn't able to pursue that anymore. But congrats, man. Good luck to you. There's nothing to miss here, though, believe me. You won't miss anything. You could come back here 30 years from now, and I may be in a different place in my life, but the message will never change, which is what is so peaceful about this message, I had somebody comment on one of my videos today, thanking me for being one of the only spiritual teachers that haven't changed their message since this vaccine. Then they said, you are one of the few that I've seen that are not against the vaccine. All these spiritual leaders and teachers are in fear of the vaccine. They're against it, they're fighting, they're resisting. And so this one person today just commented thanking me for remaining consistent and being who I am. And that's the beauty in this message, is it cannot be fluctuated or changed or swayed by the events that happen in the world, and that's a lot of what you'll notice people do, is we become spiritual, we become responsible of this experience until this experience produces something such as death, loss, tragedy, and then we backtrack on all that we once were teaching or believing in. Um, spirituality was about being responsible for this and taking responsibility, and it's like when tragedy strikes or when things happen, we backtrack and we're no longer responsible for this. We want to start blaming, excuse me, the devil, or we want to blame government, or we want to blame them, whoever they are. And so that's why I have this page, to bring people back into themselves, where the truth has always been. You already have the truth. You don't actually seek the truth. You already have it. But what we seek through these government conspiracies and this new world order and all these things are that one event, that one thing that's going to bring us to that aha moment where we experience a revolution for ourselves right before, or right behind our very eyes, where there is no need for a physical fight, there is no altercation, there is no separation. Spirituality is about taking responsibility and realizing you are that which you call the world. You are that which you call government. You are all these words which you assign to phenomenon, forces, beings, people. It's all you. And you are what's behind this play. And that's the thing, is most of us don't see or don't realize we're dreaming. And we want the ending of this dream to happen so badly. But before we can check out of this dream, we must face ourselves in that mirror as the good and the bad, as the beautiful and the ugly. And that's what makes dying so hard, is you must face yourself as what you've called the devil, the ugly, the evil. You must face yourself as government, as the problem with this experience, with this world. It is you that's doing this, not doing the action, but you exerting the belief. So taking responsibility is you realizing that you don't exist in a universe, and you're not who you think you are. You're so much more. And your belief is actually shaping and not creating, but shaping and producing an entire world in front of you that doesn't exist. And it goes back to what I say, the truth is already yours. Something within you already is truth, already is true, cannot be denied, and that is your direct experience. So the eyes will not see what the mind is not willing to comprehend or not willing to accept, which means we're not willing to accept that this thing we call government, this system, is truly ourselves. This system actually replicates our internal brain, which is why we've externally brought it out into the world. The inside is the outside, and the outside is the inside. So by these people choosing, left brain or the right brain, you're choosing one side over the other and saying this is the absolute way, which is the same thing that got religion into turmoil. Our way is the only way, and it's the absolute way. Very few are willing to pay the final price. Financial pricing is nothing. That's easy. You'll make that back. You'll make the money back. And financial practices will keep you stuck. They'll keep you in a repetitive cycle of returning. You'll notice the people who fill church buildings, they offer they tithe, they offer, certain percentage of their check, or they offer some type of money. And this is just the payment of being there, of getting this offering. And in exchange, you come back next week, and next week, and next week. It's the very same with spiritual practice. you will inevitably realize you are going nowhere, because there has been nowhere to go this whole time. All these practices associated with spirituality, and again, this is the uncomfortable truth. This is what's not being sold to you. I don't need you to return to me. That's the exact point in this YouTube channel. I don't need you to return. I don't want you to return. This is the ultimate point. As of right now, I am the middleman between you and your highest self. And that's what this is. This is a middleman. You know, someone reminding you of what you already have. Someone reminding you of who you already are. But you don't need me. You don't need anyone. You don't need a middleman. You don't need anything. And you don't need to bring it to a name once you discover it. Because once you name it, you have just jumped into a new ego, a new form of ego. And when I say ego, it's just simply an entity that is non-existent. An entity that is nothing but a bunch of collection of thoughts and memories. Doesn't exist. What exists through this as presence exists, absolutely, undeniably. But if these things about you can be changed and transformed through time, then these are the pieces of yourself which have never been, which are not. And this is why I stress we are not human beings. To be human is to be a concept. To be a concept is to be a word. And the Bible teaches you already. The Word is God. The Word is with God and is God. However, it states it was with God until God spoke that word out, becoming human. God became man. Man became God. Because the final conspiracy is with you and yourself, is with you and these two characters, with you and this higher self, lower self concept. There is no higher and lower. There is no above and below. These are references so that we can communicate. When I say above, you realize it's in that direction. When I say below, you realize I'm communicating this direction. Inside and out, body and earth. These are so that we can communicate what we're illustrating. But these words, these thoughts are not actually what we're assigning to them. What we assign to them changes, the words changes, and everything in between changes except for one thing. This is why there's so many gods, because there's so many egos. And again, ego is just the separate entity from God, from source, from self. So long as man is split from source, he will try and give it a name, and he will try and give it a shape, and he will try and give it a story or a path. And it has no path, it has no shape, it has no name, it has no trace. Everything is coming and going before you. All that you love is slipping right before your fingertips. You can't grab it. You can't reach out and grab it. And even if you did, it would still evade you. It would only move back even further. The faster you chase it, the faster it evades you. We aren't who we think we are. And this is why we will forever keep discovering artifacts and books that outdate the previous one that was found. Just when we think we've reached the starting point, we find something that predates that, and then predates that, and then predates that. What this is no different than a vortex. where you have your eye focused on the prize, that fixed point at the end, and if I can just reach it, that's the starting point to the human being. That is my origin. But like I said, as every time we find something that predates Adam and Eve, let's just say, it pushes that vortex even a little more back. And then we go to reach that starting point and say, this is where we've begun, this is who we are. You go to reach for it, it pushes itself back even more, and pushes itself back even more. It's the same with the Big Bang Theory. It does not exist. The date has only been moved back, and moved back, and moved back, time and time again, because this starting point does not exist. So when people ask me what never born, never died means, how can something end if it's never began? This is precisely what the ego is, a full conviction of thoughts, a full compiled memory and thoughts that appears to be real, separate to the source, to all of it, separate to the presence. All these thoughts, all these memories, all these words are the presence. But since we can't see the presence, we can't grab the presence, we can't stimulate our senses through the presence, we disregard the presence completely and begin attaching ourselves to the senses and building a character out of these senses instead of realizing presence. So when you talk about all is one, you are referring to the presence that is giving light to the senses, that's allowing you to perceive light, dark, that's allowing you to hear sound from silence. You are the sound and you are the silence. You are both. But you must never forget where you have come from, where all these words come from, all these worlds and planets and theories. The words are the silence. You'll never exist as the words. This is why it requires your memory to exist as them. You must hold them close to you. This is why when people are on their deathbed, death is a tragedy. We wish to hold these words dear to us, and they never were. They don't exist. So death is a tragedy when that final hour comes and we realize we've only come to know ourselves through thoughts. Thoughts that, again, are very real, but they are attached to a very false being, a very false idea. And that's what makes death so hard, is you realize you've only come to know yourself as deep as your ideas, as your thoughts. You've never challenged these ideas, you've never challenged these thoughts. You've never looked beyond the veil, beyond what is telling you you are human, beyond what is telling you that is artificial. Because as I say, you are not human and never have been. And if you are not human, then there is no machine. You are showing you to yourself. How can you merge with that which you already are? The human race cannot end because it has never began. This human concept is a misconception in which all suffering begins and ends through. The suffering begins at the moment of conception and is released when death is faced. And I say when death is faced because death will not change you. Death does not happen for you. You must face death for yourself. And this is why religion robs you of this. Religion sells you that you can believe in someone else's story of conquering death, and you yourself will never have to conquer this yourself. Now, what would you rather have? Me telling you there is no price to pay, you don't have to give me any money, but you yourself have to die. You have to face your greatest fears, and you have to walk through that door of death for yourself, or offer me some money, and I'll teach you a belief that will prevent you from ever having to die. And as long as you believe, you will never have to live out these fears, this death. You'll never have to know what that is. All it requires is your belief. And this is why the majority will flow toward the belief. Why would I want to face my fears, which will terrify me to my core, which will shake me, when all I have to do is pay somebody else to teach me the beliefs of someone else conquering this? Because then I am robbed of the experience. I will never experience death for myself. I will never drink from the elixir of immortality. It will forever suffer and be codependent. On false guides and false lights. And you'll notice a lot of these people disregard, throw away everything they teach you when tragedy is presented at their front door. They're selling you this stuff, but they don't believe it. That's why they must sell you. You believe. You return. The price is you coming back, when truly the prices should be never returning, never needing to return, because what is here is what is there, and it always has been. Good evening, Kevin. Good evening, Will. Good evening, Assad. Welcome, everyone. Exactly right, Will. You'll never be able to describe oneness to someone. You will only be able to share your own experiences and make references that will show them the path. But it's just like Morpheus says, all you're doing is showing them the door. That's what all the explanation, all the words are for. You're not actually sharing with them how, or you're not giving them the experience. You're reminding them of how to get there, how to achieve this. And again, this is the unpopular truth, That is why there's 10 people on this live. But if you go on someone's live that's selling you a practice, something that needs to be done, an important mission for the ego, that's where the crowds are. That's where the opium lies. And it's not a form of judgment. But very few people are honestly willing to pay this price within themselves. Very few people are actually willing to be free from all practice and all doing. That is the end of the dream. That is an awakening. See, most people that say they've awakened, they've come across, this groundbreaking, government story or history artifact or something, and this to them is an awakening. But this is just a miniature step, which still is keeping you from facing yourself as this beast. That is what the devil is there for, and that is what the government is there for. It is the beast keeping you from your true sovereignty. And again, your belief makes it real. It's why you see it. It's why it's a part of your experience. Everything is responding to your beliefs. And as much as we want to be in control, we don't want to hear that. Everything is responding to my beliefs. We don't want to hear that because you know what that means. The collective isn't going to help you. You yourself have to be the change you wish to see. And again, all these quotes that I'm using are so simple, so common. Everyone's heard this, right? Be the change you want to see. But what does that mean? People don't realize the gravity of that quote. Because if they knew, they would know. You are the only one here. There is no other. No other force or entity is influencing or shaping this experience for you but you. Your experience is the way it is because you are here. It is mirroring everything you believe about yourself, everything you believe about who you are. So if you're just this human in infinite space, or this human in this big universe that they've told you about, then it's quite obvious you feel pretty small. You have no control. They have the control. Why? Because they have lands in their name, buildings in their names. They have a lot of wealth, financial, money. They influence the material world. But this is why every spiritual teacher will tell you, look within yourself, because what you think to be the world is nothing but your own mind. Again, everything is mirroring what you believe. You believe you're a human. You believe you're a person. You believe you're this character. Therefore, what you are seeing in the outside world is a place for the person. Some call this a matrix, and some think they're being enslaved here by this entity, this force, this government. And hey, let's not move into artificial intelligence because they are going to enslave us into this trap. All misconception because you have forgotten who you are here. There is no they, there is no government, and there is no artificial intelligence. You are behind each and every single role. You are that powerful, but your beliefs limit you. They create boundaries for you, which is why I say the mind will never see, or the eyes will never see what the mind is not ready to believe or comprehend or accept. Somebody asked me a week ago, because they thought it was nonsense. They said, you don't believe in the moon cycles and that the moon affects us and the stars affect us and all these things? And I said, I don't even see the same things you see when I look up. See, most people, when they look up, they see stars, they see a sky, they see planets, they see outer space, right? I'm using these words to communicate to you what I'm referring to. But when I look up, I don't see a sky, I don't see stars, I don't see space, I don't see planets, I don't see a universe. I see the self. There is no inside and there is no outside. I am not limited to this body because there is no body. There is no inside, there is no outside. This is just as much a part of this as this is just as much a part of this. These are not two functions, these are not two processes. Everything that you believe is what will happen through your experience. Seeing is believing. That is the most common quote too. Seeing is believing. Because these two outer eyes are only seeing the mind. What you think to be the world and these governments and all these systems are your own mind trying to lead you back home. It's that simple. Whoever they are, whoever you think they are, they have no control here. Because they are you. You are in a fight here right now with yourself to take back your own sovereignty through an entity that doesn't exist, and that is likewise yourself. But again, since you don't know yourself, you are fighting yourself, Neo and Mr. Smith. And it's funny because I see people use the Matrix references and they reference it in this fashion. They reference it as it's the people versus the government when it's you versus yourself. That's what the Matrix represents. It's not the people versus a system, you are the system. That's what Neo was awakening to. An awakening is not coming across a government conspiracy or realizing history didn't happen the way you were taught. An awakening is a complete removal of the world and everything in it, you included. That is an awakening. You are the change you're awaiting. This entire world is nothing but a dream. It does not exist. Nor do any of these people who think they're real inside of it. It doesn't exist. These are thoughts. These are ideas. The world, human, people, these are concepts. Concepts that become real through false attachments. False attachments, and false attachments become what? They lead to false desires. You desire things that have no value, no meaning. That's why we think the new car will bring us happiness. We think the next thing will bring us happiness. We think it's always next, or the new. But you already have it. And that's why filling your home with possessions only makes you worse. It only drains you more. The more you have, the less you have. Because you already have it. Again, it has no name. The moment you give it a name, it is nothing but another ego. We are angels and demons, gods and devils. We are all of this. We've created these entities based off of who we believe we are. And we've shaped them in accordance to who we think we are, because we've shaped ourselves in accordance. But artificial intelligence is no threat, will be no threat. It's here to show us ourselves. It's here to answer our every question of ourselves. We've had this burning question for so long of how we got here and what put us here. And now we have the privilege to bear witness ourselves putting us here in this form. We're watching us do this to ourselves, which means soon the question will be removed. We will no longer ask how we got here. It will be answered through the happening. It will be answered through ourselves. because it's always been us. We are all that we seek. Excuse me. There is nothing to be found. You are shapeless. You are traceless. Those who have truly awakened will not state they have awakened, because again, who has awakened? That is precisely what you are awakening from, is the who. Who is there to awaken from? The who doesn't exist. And this is why Papaji told you, do not give it another name. Do not replace it with another name. Do not call it enlightenment. You will only deceive yourself again. Meditation is not a doing. It is the opposite of doing. It is non-doing. Being back with the non-dual. If there is no doer, there is no doing. That is the duality. You believe yourself to be the doer. That is doing. And so the doer must do to increase the quality of this experience, to attain it. And once you have meditated, it is with you. You have connected to it. But the longer you stop doing the meditation, the more it evades you, it leaves you. And then you have to do this process again, because you are the doer, attached to the doing. When true meditation does not work in this fashion, this is why Buddha revolutionized meditation as we know it. He didn't reduce meditation to a practice once or twice a day. There is no practice. And again, this is why this cannot be sold to you. This cannot be sold. How do you sell somebody with telling them there is no practice? There is nothing to do. The obvious first question would be, well, where do I begin? And there you go. It leads you circling right back to yourself. There is no beginning, there is no ending. That's what you must grasp. The ending is always the beginning. You are that. Meditation is the constant presence, the constant beingness that does not change, that is not fluctuated by a phenomenon or happenings. And that is why this message cannot change. It doesn't matter if we're at war. It doesn't matter if there's mandated vaccines. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic. It doesn't matter if I'm locked down to my home. It doesn't matter if I have a curfew or restriction. This message cannot be changed, because you remain as presence. Presence is everything. All things that you will have experienced from beginning to end happen within presence. All change that you witness from beginning to end happens through presence. The changeless presence is what reveals to you the moving parts to yourself that can be changed. Therefore, They never were you. They never were. But we've mistaken that as reality. I am this that appears but will disappear. That's reality for most people. When truly, there is only one reality. And it's not the appearance and disappearance. It is that which is beyond both. That which does not come or go. This is why so many sages and gurus have said, when they're dying, where will I go? I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be here. And the people that surround them miss the message completely because they cling to that person, they cling to their experience and have yet to experience that direct oneness from within themselves. So the moment the middleman is gone, so is the message. So is everything they've said. It's vital not to be dependent on the teacher or on who is speaking. They are speaking to remind you of yourself. Do not cling to these words and do not memorize these words. There is no practice, so you can throw that out the window. Disregard practice. You begin by realizing there is no beginning. You are beyond time. You are beyond space. You begin by taking your face mask and turning it on itself. What has been speaking for I my whole life? When I grow afraid or sad, something within me says, I am afraid, I am sad, I am this, I am that. Associating self with the emotion, with the limited being, with the character. So you're a terribly real thing and a terribly false person. You exist, but the person does not. And this is where all your suffering begins. This is why you have desires you will never fulfill. The who you're trying to fulfill them for does not exist. And you can fulfill every one of this person's desires. It will not be good enough for you. You will not be able to rest. You will not be satisfied. You will not enjoy. That is the vicious cycle that I've seen as of lately through meditations. It's a practice, it's a form of doing. And it's a doing that we convince ourselves is improving the quality in our lives. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sitting in silence. But you'll notice, majority of people who practice meditation as a doing, or do it once or twice in a day, 3 times in a day, they feel the same when they leave their meditation, or when they come out of their meditation, as when they came in. Because you are directly attaching to what is appearing and what will disappear. When meditation is to align you with that which is not moving, that which is not changing, and that which is beyond creation, destruction. Nothing lasts forever but what watches it all. Hence why I say you are not human. Why stop there? Why limit yourself? You just want to be this, when you're so much more, and the so much more is beyond your grasp as of now. It's beyond your comfort, so it terrifies you. This is why we don't want to be so much more. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. As much as we want to be God, we are terrified of being it, of realizing it. There's nothing coming to save us or save you. You are the Savior. You are here. It's you. And while that terrifies us, it is our very way out. It is our liberation, because it is you. When you are ready, you have all the power, everything you need to awaken from this false world. And just like that, when you want it to be over, and you are willing to pay that price within yourself, again, not paying financially someone else. This is easy. I don't even care the price. You could pay me $1 million. That's meaningless. That's nothing. That is nothing on the price you truly must pay spiritually with yourself. The financial payment is nothing. That's surface level. That's garbage. This is why you will never find the sovereignty in the people you are paying in the spiritual communities. They require you to come back. This sovereignty does not bring you a returning. You do not return. And I'm not saying you die, because obviously I'm still here. You die before a physical death. And then when it's time to actually part ways with the body, it's as easy as going and falling into a deep sleep, because you already realize there has never been a body. There is no body. So what tragedy is there to leave this when it's nothing that you leave behind? There never was a body. Why cling to it? I unfortunately have to end this video. My phone's on 5%. I'm gonna die here. So I'm gonna wrap up this video before it just cuts off on you guys without me being able to say goodbye and good night. But I hope this video has made some people think. It's all I want to do, is just challenge people's beliefs, make people think. You know, I'm not here to convince anyone, and I'm not here to bring you the truth. You already have the truth. Right? This is just a reminder to show you the door. Just as Morpheus says, you must walk through it. You must experience it for yourself. It is you that has birthed this world and all these beliefs. Therefore, it is you that must destruct this world and all that you have associated with it. Hope everyone has a good night or a good day, depending on what side of the world you're on. And I will see you again when I can. I have a busy schedule now, so I'm not on, obviously, as much as I was before, but I'll still find time. There's always time. Love you guys. Thank you very much. And Jared, I wish you good luck, brother. If this is the last time I talk to you or see you on here, I love you, and I wish you the very best. Everyone on here too, just send some love for Jared. He's going to be going into the Marines soon, so congratulations again, and I wish you the best. And thank you, everyone.